right. Well, welcome to 20 Minutes with Mike. I'm so pleased that you're joining me today. I think we have a very interesting episode. We're going to be talking about the importance of asking the right questions and taking time to think. So we only got 20 minutes. Let's get started. The genesis of all of this topic today is based on a book that I'm reading that was recommended to me by someone that I did a podcast with last week, and it's The Road Less Stupid by Keith Cunningham. And excellent book, highly recommend it. But the basic premise of the book is, I think, two things. One, the importance of taking time on a weekly basis, literally scheduling time to think. And then once you've scheduled that time, then it's about asking the right questions. See, the challenge that most of us have is we're not asking the right question. And so we're getting the wrong answer to the true question. So I'm going to break this down a little bit because I think it's pretty important. And it corresponds with a lot of the things that I say and talk about in the various episodes that I've done over the last couple of years. The importance of taking time to think about what's going on, the importance of asking the right questions and really drilling down on that. So this isn't necessarily brand spanking new. In my view, there are very few things that are, completely new. But this is, in my view, a different spin on productivity and being able to, do your very best work. I'm always talking about the importance of doing your very best work. And I think this is just one more arrow in your quiver on how to do that. All right, so let's break it down a little bit. All right, the first thing that I want to say is that all of this is really based on psychology, right? I've talked in the past about modes of thinking. So there's active conscious thinking where you ask yourself a question and you're like, okay, what's the law on X, Y, and Z? Or, who was the drummer for Motley Crue? Or, whatever question. It doesn't really matter what the question is. And then you consciously, do some research or try to figure that out, right? That's conscious. There's another type of thinking that is called demode thinking, where you basically stop, you ask the question, and then you stop actively thinking about it and you let it just percolate in your head. So that's why a lot of times you'll have a revelation, while you're in the shower or you're out gardening, or, maybe you're driving down the road, just kind of, listening to music or whatever. And you're like, oh, I know, I got the answer. That is a method of thinking that goes on, because from a physiological perspective, your brain always is working. It's always working on the problem. The challenge that most of us have is that we're not asking the right question. And so whatever question you ask is what your brain will work on. So, for example, this is an example that I've heard many times and I've used several times. If you ask yourself, why doesn't anybody like me? Or why am I broke? Or why don't I have any money in the bank? Well, your brain will work on that question and it will come up with a lot of answers. Why are you broke? Oh, you're lazy. You're not very smart. You don't understand business. It will come up with this laundry list of answers to your question. All right. Now, those answers may not be true. You may be very smart. You may have a lot of business acumen, But if you ask that question, why are you not being successful? You are going to get answers. And if you buy into those answers, it's going to move you in the wrong direction. So the importance of asking the right question is so critical. How do I become more successful? How do I obtain better clients? What offer can I make that will entice people to want to hire me? I mean, those are the kinds of positive questions. And then your brain starts working on that and going, oh, okay, well, let me work on that part. And let me start thinking outside the box. Okay, what can we offer that would make it more likely that a client or a potential client would hire us? What marketing message can we put out there that would be more compelling? Right. So it's all about asking the right question. But the second part of that challenge, or maybe more accurately, the first part of that challenge, is taking the time to actually think about what is the correct question. See, we're all so busy being busy that instead of, slowing down and taking time to ponder what is the right question, what is the true problem that I need to deal with, or as Keith Cunningham says, what is the obstacle that's in the way of you getting the success that you want, or the situation that you want? For example, he uses this as an example. I want to lose weight. I want to get in better shape. Okay, so is the problem that I don't have the brand new Peloton, or I haven't bought a new bike, or I haven't joined the coolest gym? Is that really the problem? No, it's not. All of those things can help you get, in better shape, but those things aren't the problem. The real challenge is, why aren't you doing it consistently? Because if you want to get, in better physical shape, right, it's not just about exercise. Exercise is a big component of it, but diet, sleep, I believe meditation is a really important component to physical health, because you calm your body down. I mean, I know for me, if I start to get stressed, my body starts to get tense, and I have to actually take a moment and think about, why am I feeling, out of sorts, and then, go through and do a body scan and just relax things. And I find, oh my goodness, my legs are like super tense. Why are they super tense? It's all unconscious. So anyway, the point is, you've got to ask yourself the right question. But I think the one of the premises that this book, The Road Less Stupid, is putting forward, is setting yourself up to ask the right question. So he talks about the importance of scheduling a period of time, and you've got to decide what's realistic for you. Setting aside 4 hours to do this might be great, but can you focus for 4 hours? I know I can't. 45 minutes of real intense focus is probably, my limit, without taking a break and getting some, getting up and doing something physical, or getting some rest, or, getting something to eat, or whatever. So, the first thing you got to figure out is, what is realistic for you. Second, when is realistic for you. So I'm a big advocate of doing things like this first thing in the morning, before you get caught up in the busyness of the day. It's really easy. Once you look at your email, in my opinion, your day is kind of shot, because all of a sudden there's fires that have to be put out, and people who require things. So, I believe that these kinds of things are best done early in the morning, first thing, before you get into the busyness of your day, whether you're working, or have a job, or run a business, or whatever it is that you're doing. But getting that done the added bonus is if you are getting enough sleep, if you are taking care of yourself, when you get up, you should be at your sharpest. You should be at your actual best as far as performance, mental performance. Now, it's interesting for me. I did the 5 a.m. club, Robin Sherman's book. I did that for maybe close to 6 months, where I'd get up at 5 o'clock in the morning and I'd do some physical work, and then I would do some journaling, and I would do some meditation, whatever. But I found for my body, exercising first thing in the morning is just not optimal. I much prefer to work out, late morning, early afternoon, or sometimes even late afternoon, where my body, I'm going to be 63 here pretty soon. It just takes a while to warm up. So I like to do my intellectual stuff in the morning. I like to journal. I like to do my meditation, and I like to do my reading first thing in the morning. But you got to figure out what works for you. And the point of all of this, and the reason I'm sharing what works for me, is to just give you some ideas. But what you need to figure out is what works for you. So scheduling an appointment with yourself to sit down and do this thinking thing, okay, that we're going to be talking we're talking about here. Now, this is an appointment, and this is the kind of the key thing. This is an appointment that you make with yourself. Now, we all, if you run a business or have a job, or if you're a lawyer or whatever, you make appointments with other people all the time. And if you have any level of success at all, you keep your appointments, right? When you make an appointment, 11 o'clock appointment, you keep that appointment. Today, for example, I have a pretty busy day. I try to pile as much stuff on Fridays as I can. I'm doing a podcast this morning at 11 o'clock my time. I'm meeting with a client at noon, and then I'm meeting with our law firm at 1 o'clock. So I've got a lot of stuff, scheduled. It is almost 10 o'clock here while I'm doing this. And so I made this appointment with myself to do this show today. And the important thing is that I think a lot of us easily break our appointments with ourselves. We're like, well, I got, it's just me, right? The message that I really want to get forward is make an appointment with yourself and keep it. So if you decide, okay, I am going to, at 8 o'clock, make a block off an hour to think on Monday and on Friday. Let's just say that that's what you decide to do. Keep that appointment. All right, your space. Now, your space is really critical, right? For this particular exercise of thinking, what Keith Cunningham recommends, and I echo, is be in a place where you have no distractions. So in my office, where I'm at, I have a desk, and I've got my computers and all that. But on the other side of this computer here that you can't see is my reading chair. Super comfortable chair, good lighting, but I can't see the computer screens from there. I mean, I could turn everything around, but generally I can't see the computer screens from there. So I don't have that temptation to, let's log on and see what Facebook's got going on, or let's just check our email real quick. So put yourself in a distraction-free place, or minimize your distractions. Close the door. Don't accept any phone calls, and then set a timer. So if you say, okay, I'm going to block off an hour, well, maybe you want to set your timer for 45 minutes so that you have, you can do the thinking for 45 minutes, and then you have time to recap, because part of this is, really thinking through, thinking out of the box, jotting things down, making notes. Some of those notes will be worthless, but some of them will open the doors to other ideas that you can use, and then recap it at the end so you can kind of put a bow on the issue. All right. So, set up your space, make your space real conducive to focused thinking, right? Then the challenge is, as I alluded to at the beginning of the episode, is asking yourself the right questions. So start to think about what are the questions that need to be answered. And what I do is I use my Remarkable, but you could use a yellow pad. I recommend doing this handwritten as opposed to on the computer, because again, you don't want the distractions of the computer. Write the question at the top of the page, and then just sit there and mull over. Okay, well, what are potential solutions? And as they come to you, just write them down. Don't filter them, don't judge them, don't go, oh, that's stupid, I'm not going to write that down. Just write them down, write them down, write them down, write them down. And I think what you're going to find is that out of that, there will be, the real obvious answers will pop up immediately. But what you want to do is you want to just keep digging. You want to just keep thinking, okay, well, what else? What else? And then ask yourself, on top of everything else, are my premises correct? Are the assumptions that I'm making correct? So keep digging, asking the question. Okay, you ask a question, you get an answer. Dig down below that and ask, well, why would that work, or why would that not work? What is the premise that is based on? Is that based on a valid premise, or is it based on some assumption that's not true? So for example, I mean, I see this all the time with clients that I work with other lawyers that I've worked with. I look at their business and I go, the first thing that you need to do is you need to raise your prices. And they're like, oh my, I can't raise my prices, because if I raise my prices, then I won't get any clients. Well, and then the question I always ask is, why do you think that? Why do you believe that that's true? Because in my experience, that's not true at all. There is certainly a point where you could price yourself out of the market. It was like $10,000 an hour. Okay, well, I'm not going to get hired at that. But generally, people undervalue and so underpriced because they have this assumption that people will not pay that price. Well, I don't think that that's necessarily true, but you've got to explore that. Why is it that you think that you can only charge X amount of dollars as opposed to 50% more than that, or 100% more than that? Why do you believe that? And as you evaluate it, it may be that you're right, but until you actually question it, how do you know? My experience is that you're probably not right on that particular topic. So really evaluate it. Take that time, and if nothing's coming to you, then just sit there. And it will percolate. If you are asking that question, if you are asking the right question, whatever question you're asking, your mind's going to continue to work, and it's going to come up with solutions or ideas. And then you have to decide whether that is a solution that you can use, are willing to use, and move forward with that. So to wrap this thing up, to put a bow on it, right? It is incredibly important, especially if you were in an intellectual industry like practicing law, that you take time to think. What people are paying you to do really is to think through the strategies of their case, think through how to get them the outcome that you want. And from your business perspective, think through how you can be more productive and more profitable. Ask yourself the right questions, set aside the time to actually ponder those questions in an environment that is conducive to really good thinking. So, really think about your environment. What environment would be the best for you to actually make that productive time? If you're going to invest an hour or 2 hours a week or more, you want it to be productive, and you want it to be enjoyable. One of the things that Mr. Cunningham talks about is he has his thinking journal, he has his thinking pen, and his thinking chair. I don't know that you necessarily need to go that extreme, but I think that that kind of lays the foundation for it. All right, there's our 20 minutes. If you have any questions about this, or you want to dig a little deeper, you know, I recommend that one, you get the book, you know, A Road Less Stupid. I've got no skin in that game. I get nothing for that, but I think it's an excellent book and I encourage people to read it. But you can certainly contact me and we can talk about it. I work with firms to help them become more profitable and more productive. And that's why I read books like this and then share that information, because the more knowledge that you have, the more arrows in your quiver, the more likely it is that you're going to find a solution that works for you. What I'm all about is finding what's going to work for you. Just because it works for me doesn't mean it'll work for you, but it'll give you at least some examples of how to make it work. There are fundamentals that we all have to do. And then it's just a matter of tweaking it so it's going to work best for us. So I'm easily contacted, Mike@michaelchastain.com. You can go to my website, mikechastain.com. You can go to my Facebook page or my YouTube channel, which is where you'll find all this stuff. All right, everybody. I hope you all have a great day. And just remember, be grateful for what you have and be willing to work for what you want. All right, y'all. Take care. Bye.